Hello, sports fans. Welcome to Sports Central. Today, we're going to be going with Week 16 NFL predictions. So last week, I had a record of 9-7, and that brings my record on the season to 139-85. Starting off this week on Thursday Night Football, I've got the Saints at the Rams. So this is a massive game for both teams because both teams currently sit at 7-7 and are fighting for a playoff spot in the NFC. The Rams' offense has been great as of late, averaging 33 points a game in the last 4 games, but they now face a very good Saints defense that is allowing just 19 points a game on the season. Both teams really need to win this game. I can see this game going either way. I think the Saints have a very good chance to win this game because of their defense, but they haven't been the greatest team on the road this season, so I'm going to take the Rams in a close win by a score of 24-20. Moving to the games on Saturday, starting off with the Bengals at the Steelers. So the Bengals, they're still in the playoff race even without Joe Burrow, as they currently sit as the 6th seed and are 8-6. They're doing this with Jake Browning at quarterback, who's been good replacing Joe Burrow, as Browning has thrown for at least 275 yards and has had multiple touchdowns in each of his last 3 games. But Browning and the Bengals offense now face a good Steelers defense that allows 20 points a game. The Steelers defense wanted to keep the Steelers in this game because they'll be starting Mason Rudolph at quarterback, and they're doing so right in time for Christmas. But Mason Rudolph is getting the start as the Steelers bench from Mitch Trubisky, and Kenny Pickett is still out with an ankle injury. But this is a bad Steelers offense anyway, scoring just 16 points a game. Having Mason Rudolph at quarterback will not help the Steelers. I think the Steelers keep this close because of their defense, but the Bengals win by a score of 24-14 and win their 4th game in a row. Up next, we got the Bills at the Chargers. So the Bills are playing like one of the best teams in the NFL at the moment, as they just demolished the Cowboys by a score of 31-10. Then it faced the Chargers team that is a mess. The Chargers, they've lost 5 of their last 6, and their one win in that stretch was a 6-0 win over the Patriots. The Chargers also lost 63-21 to the Raiders last week. They did fire Brandon Staley, which is a step in the right direction, but that won't help them, especially against a really good Bills team. The Chargers are also dealing with injuries, such as they will be without Keenan Allen, Joey Bosa, and obviously Justin Herbert. So they'll be starting Easton Stick at quarterback for the 2nd week in a row, and I don't really think the offense will do much. Now, the Raiders scored 63 points against the Chargers, so the Bills might score 100. Not quite, but the Bills are going to demolish the Chargers and win this game by a score of 42-10. Moving to the games on Sunday or Christmas Eve, we've got the Colts at the Falcons. So both these teams are still in the playoff race. The Falcons aren't really a playoff team. They just lost to the Panthers, and they've benched Desmond Ridder for the 2nd time this season, and they're turning to Taylor Heinicke, who hasn't done much in his 3 games this season, as he's thrown for an average of 166 yards, and all those games he's played in have been losses. Now, for the Colts, their offense has actually been really good this year, as they scored 24.6 points a game, and they could get even better because there is a chance Jonathan Taylor will return from his injury this week. Now, both teams need to win this game in terms of their respective playoff race, but this is the ultimate strength versus strength, weakness versus weakness game, because the Colts, they scored 24.6 points a game, but faced the Falcons' defense that allows 19.9 points a game, and the Colts allowed 24.5 points a game, but faced the Falcons' offense that scores only 18.4 points a game. So this is a game that could go either way. This feels like a weird game. I think the Colts are the better team here. They'll get the win by a score of 24-16. Up next, we got the Titans hosting the Seahawks. So both teams are dealing with quarterback injuries. For the Seahawks, Geno Smith will return after missing 2 games with a groin injury. And for the Titans, rookie quarterback Will Levis suffered an ankle injury late in their loss to the Texans, and his status for this week's game is uncertain. So if Levis can't go, then they will be turning back to the veteran Ryan Tannehill. Now, the Titans' offense hasn't really been that good this season, scoring just 18.4 points a game. So if Ryan Tannehill is at quarterback, I don't think he impacts their offense at all. It'll still be equally as bad. Now, the Seahawks, they really need to win this game if they want to continue their path to the playoffs. And I think the Seahawks will get the win just because I don't trust the Titans, especially offensively, with Ryan Tannehill, who just isn't good anymore. And the Seahawks, they get the win here by a score of 21-13. Up next, we got the Vikings hosting the Lions. So the Lions, they got back on track last week with a dominant win over the Broncos, winning 42-17. Then they'll face a Vikings team that has lost 3 of their last 4 games, and their one win in that stretch was a 3-0 win over the Raiders. Now, the Vikings, they will be sticking with Nick Mullins at quarterback, and he was pretty good last week with over 300 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Bengals, although he did throw 2 interceptions as well. But the Lions, they had a much-needed good performance last week. The Vikings offense is going to need a good performance to keep up with the Lions offense that is scoring 27.3 points a game. I don't trust Nick Mullins and the Vikings offense to do that, and I have the Lions getting the win here and clinching the NFC North title for the first time since 1993 and win this game by a score of 24-14. And the Lions, they can walk up the North with a win, and they will obviously clinch this playoff spot with the division win as well. But if the Lions lose this week, they can still clinch a playoff spot with a Rams loss or a Seahawks loss. Next game, we got the Commanders at the Jets. So the Jets will be starting Trevor Siemian at quarterback as Zach Wilson remains in concussion protocol, and obviously Aaron Rodgers will not be returning this season. Now, the Jets' offense is terrible, but they face a terrible Commanders' defense that was over 30 points a game, which is by far worse than the NFL. And the Commanders' defense is bad against the pass and the run. Now, the Jets' offense isn't good either, scoring just 14.4 points a game. But the Jets' defense, on the other hand, is elite, and I think they will control this game because the Commanders' offense has been solid this season, scoring 20.1 points a game. But I don't think they'll do much against an elite Jets defense. So I've got the Jets winning this game behind their defense, and the Commanders lose their 6th game in a row. The Jets win in a boring game, 13-6. Next game, we got the Packers at the Panthers. So the Packers' defense needs help. They've been terrible over the last few games. The good news is they face a terrible Panthers team and an offense that is awful. The Panthers, they are coming off a win over the Falcons, but they scored only 9 points and didn't score a single touchdown. And the Panthers' offense is terrible, scoring just 14.7 points a game. Now, as bad as the Packers' defense has been, I don't really think they're going to make a terrible Panthers offense look good, because this is a Panthers offense that's been held to single digits in each of their last 2 games. So I think the Packers get a bounce back win here. After dropping 2 straight, they get a win and remain in the playoff race, and they beat the Panthers by a score of 21-10. Up next, we got the Browns at the Texans. So this is a big game for both teams who are currently fighting for playoff spots. The Browns, there's a number of situations where they can clinch a playoff spot this week, but all of the situations require wins and losses by multiple other teams. The Texans, they're currently sitting as the 8th seed at 8-6, and they will be without CJ Stroud as he remains in concussion protocol. Now, the Browns' defense has been the reason they're this good this season, and their defense allows just 261 yards per game and 20 points a game. Now, the Texans, they are without Stroud, as I said a second ago, so they'll be starting Case Keenum, and that should allow the Browns' defense to dominate this game. Keenum got the start last week for the Texans when they beat the Titans 19-16 in overtime, and Case Keenum was okay last week, but I don't really think Keenum and the Texans' offense will have a lot of success against an elite Browns defense. So, the Texans' defense is solid, but not good enough for them to win the game. So I've got the Browns beating the Texans by a score of 23-13. Up next, we've got the Jaguars at the Buccaneers. The Jaguars may be without Trevor Lawrence as he's currently in concussion protocol. Now, if Lawrence is forced to miss this game, then it will be CJ Beathard getting the start for the Jaguars. For the Buccaneers, they have been better lately, winning 3 straight, and they're coming off a game last week where their offense was great, especially their passing offense of Baker Mayfield. I think Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers offense will have another good game as they face a Jaguars pass defense that allows 256 yards per game, which is 4th worst in the NFL. Now, the Buccaneers pass defense also is bad, allowing 263 yards per game, which is 2nd worst in the NFL. But if they're going against CJ Beathard, I'm not really that concerned. I think the Buccaneers continue their hot streak. They win their 4th game in a row, and they defeat the Jaguars by a score of 31-19. Up next, we got the Cardinals at the Bears. So the Bears are now 5-9, but could have put up a good fight last week against the Browns, and they should have won that game if they didn't kick away the Hail Mary attempt at the end of the game. For the Cardinals, they lost to the 49ers, but their offense scored 29 points. Both teams aren't very good on the defensive side of the ball, so I think this could turn into a higher scoring game. The Cardinals, they allow 26.9 points a game, and the Bears allow 23.5 points a game. This is a game that could go either way. I trust the Bears offense more than I trust the Cardinals offense. I'll take the Bears with the win by a score of 28-24, but this is a game that could definitely go either way. Next game, we got the Cowboys at the Dolphins. So the Dolphins could actually clinch a playoff spot in the AFC East this week, and they can clinch a playoff spot with a win and will secure the AFC East with a win and a Bills loss. Now, doing either of those things will be difficult as they face a great Cowboys team, plus the Dolphins have a ton of injuries, because Tyreek Hill, Raheem Mostert, Devon Achane, Xavier Howard, and their entire offensive line are all battling injuries, and that's not even close to all the injuries for the Dolphins. The Cowboys, they're looking for a bounce-back win after getting demolished by the Bills last week. This game's likely going to be a shootout, as these two teams have the top 2 scoring offenses in the NFL, as the Dolphins score 31.5 points a game, and the Cowboys score 30.8 points a game. Defensively, the Cowboys are better, allowing 18.9 points per game compared to the Dolphins' 21 points a game. Now, the Dolphins are home and play better at home as they're 6-1, whereas the Cowboys are worse on the road at 3-4 on the year. But with all the Dolphins' injuries, I'm going to take the Cowboys to get the win by a score of 30-23. But this is a game that could definitely go either way, but I've got the Cowboys with the bounce-back win. Next game, we got the Broncos hosting the Patriots. So the Broncos really need a bounce-back win after getting destroyed by the Lions last week. They also need a win in terms of the playoff picture, as they're currently 7-7, which is the 11th seed in the AFC. Now, the good thing for the Broncos is the Patriots are awful at 3-11. The Patriots' offense is the worst offense in the NFL, scoring 13.3 points a game. Their defense is middle of the pack, allowing 21.4 points a game. Don't really have a ton to say about this game. The Broncos get a much-needed bounce-back win by a score of 23-7. Moving to the games on Monday, which is Christmas, and by the way, Merry Christmas to those of you who celebrate Christmas, and if you don't celebrate Christmas, Happy Holidays for whatever holiday you do celebrate. But starting off with the Raiders at the Chiefs. So the Chiefs, they got a much-needed bounce-back win over the Patriots last week, And they now face a Raiders team who's coming off a 63-21 win over the Chargers. And while the offense was great last week for the Raiders, they faced a terrible Chargers defense. And they now go from facing an awful Chargers defense to an elite Chiefs defense that allows just 17.5 points a game, which is third best in the NFL. Now, the Raiders defense has been better as of late and could keep this game close, but the Chiefs are home. They're the much better team. They've won 6 in a row against the Raiders, and the Chiefs win this game by a score of 27-17, and they will clinch the AFC West with a win, and this year would be the 8th consecutive year the Chiefs win the AFC West. So I've got them beating the Raiders on Christmas and securing the AFC West in the process. Next game, we got the Giants at the Eagles. So the Eagles, they've been struggling lately, losing their last 3 games, but they have the perfect opponent to snap their 3 games skid against, as the Giants had their 3-game winning streak snapped last week, and even though they had a stretch of good football, they're still not a very good team. The Giants' offense is terrible, scoring 13.5 points a game, which is second worst in the NFL, and that is not going to be good enough when they're trying to keep up with an Eagles offense that scores 25.6 points a game. Now, the Eagles' defense has not been very good this season, allowing over 24 points a game, and on their current 3-game losing streak, they have allowed an average of 31.6 points per game. Now, this is a good get-right game for the Eagles, and they should win this game easily, as I have them beating the Giants by a score of 31-13. And our final game, we've got the Ravens at the 49ers. So this is going to be a great game, and could potentially be a Super Bowl preview. Who really knows at this point? But both these teams are sitting atop their conferences, and these have been the 2 most consistent teams in the NFL. This game also has major playoff implications for both teams, as the Ravens can clinch the AFC North with a win and a Browns loss, and the 49ers can clinch the top seed in the NFC with a win and losses by the Eagles, Cowboys, and Lions. But these are 2 really good teams that are great on both sides of the ball. Offensively, these teams rank 3rd and 4th in scoring offense and 1st and 2nd in scoring defense. On the offensive side of things, the 49ers score 30.4 points a game, and the Raiders score 27.4 points a game. Defensively, the Ravens allow 16.1 points a game, and the 49ers allow 16.7 points a game. But this is a game that could go either way. I'm going to take the 49ers because they're home, and their offense has been insane as of late, as in their last 4 games. They are scoring 36.5 points a game. So I'm going to take the 49ers with the win in a great game by a score of 27-24. I think this game is going to be a back-and-forth battle, but the 49ers get the win in a game that could definitely go either way. But those are my Week 16 NFL predictions. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, turn notifications on. I do my best to post as often as possible. I hope you all have a Merry Christmas, and if you don't celebrate Christmas, Happy Holidays for whatever holiday you celebrate. Also, I will not be streaming any games this week and doing a live watch party because of the holiday. But that's all for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, turn notifications. I do my best to post as often as possible. Make sure to check out the community tab of my channel where you guys can vote on who you think will win some of this week's big games. But thank you for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, turn notifications. I do my best to post as often as possible, and I will see you in the next video.